Um, I just finished going to the grocery store. I feel like I need to do a haul. I might do that too. Because of all the things I did pick out, my grocery bill is a slightly elevated because of some staples that I needed that I hadn't gotten lately, and I really do need those. Oh my goodness! All right, I'm trying not to be an Atlanta driver, but I'm an Atlanta driver. All right. With that, yeah, I am deciding to take a more scenic route because it is a lovely day, y'all. I kind of want to let the window down, but I know that's going to interfere with the audio. But I just really want to get a lot of sun, some sunlight on me. All right, but part three, the brown children. Okay, so part two, if you have not watched it, please watch it. Part one, please watch that too. So part three focuses on one of the many reasons why I stayed in the position I was in, even though I could have just easily left and did it. My leaving could have benefited me and my paychecks and all of that, but I made the choice not to. Um, and this is one of the reasons why. All right, so a little bit more background. So I've been working at this school already for about 2-3 years at this point. And they were making conscious efforts to be more of a school that reflects its city, meaning a lot of people don't know that Atlanta is like 50 to 60% Black. Okay. And we have a certain kind of character to our school because of that. No, actually, to our school, to our city. Now, our school did not reflect that. I'm gonna just be honest. Back then, it's getting better. We got the reputation in our neighborhood, even though there's other schools all around us, as being the white school. Okay, that is not a good reputation to have. Okay, so anyway, that was also something that our school wanted to fix. There was early on some pushback on that, like because of there were other things like sibling enrollment. Even though we're a charter school, it's like, and as a small school, it's like it's hard to get in, simply because of those things. So it ended up being this white presenting school. Now, like I said, it wasn't always like that, but it started becoming that, and our school wanted to make some efforts on changing that quickly because yes, it just was not reflective of the city, and where that would happen would most likely be in kindergarten, right? Because of enrollment. So you get all new students in kindergarten. So that was the efforts behind the scenes in our school to make sure we increase enrollment and finding ways to do it without it seeming like we're being biased towards white people at the same time. So I don't know. We're throwing out a lot of ideas. And so we started getting more brown children into kindergarten. And like I said, I wanted to be there because this is where most people who live in the United States, when they live in mixed societies, meaning racially mixed, when you're young, that's usually when a lot of like prejudice things happen to you and you don't know how to like process it. You don't know that was wrong, you know? And I definitely wanted to be there as an advocate for a child who might be mistreated, even in under best like intentions. The system is racist, right? A lot of studies have come from the school to prison pipeline. Most people, I hope, know by now is they can tell by test scores who's going to end up in prison. Okay, so if you don't nurture the child, if you don't like promote that child in such a way that they feel good about themselves, then things start happening. So yeah, so we had a mission at that time in 2017 to increase our brown children population, even though we had the reputation of being a white school, and we're trying to break it. All right, so we got more brown students in. And in my class, I got 3 African American presenting children. And I say presenting because one, she was black, but she was also Hispanic. So that's why I say that. And then we had one Asian child presenting. Okay. His dad was white, but his mother is Thai. All right. So there we go. And he definitely looks Asian. Okay. So that's why I say presenting. So these kids, and this is what I try to argue with administration about, is like a lot of these kids, young ones, this is their first time leaving their home in the comfort of their family. And a lot of them, especially the brown kids, this might be their first time in white spaces. And that's traumatizing, y'all. I'm going to just tell you now. And when you're out there being the only one in your class and all you see are white people, like you start to get like a thing. Like it can mess with you if you're not prepared. And if you're young, that you think that, oh, well, all the good people are white, right? There's a lot of people who are messed up like that. A lot of people, including people in my own family. And who knows, maybe I had like a touch of madness in that too. But I've since learned that it's not the way. But anyway, so I wanted to be a face for those children who might not be comfortable having this white lady. Basically, she was screaming at these kids. I'm gonna just be honest. So she did not know how to have classroom management. She did not know. Yeah, she just didn't have classroom management at all. So she was always on this like level 11 with her temperament, her mood, all of it. Okay. Because like I said, I set the stage for part 1 and part 2 as to why. So please go back and watch those. So it wasn't a joyful classroom most times. And that's what led me to practice number 1. It's like tuning the room. Okay, tuning the room. You tune your environment. And that meant I had to get there before she did in the morning. I had to set the stage. I already always had that as a practice in my classrooms in the past, like setting the mood with like essential oils and lighting and things like that. But I really, really, really had to make an effort to get there before she did, to tune the room, bless the room, okay, to increase a more, I don't want to say joyful, but at least more peaceful environment in general. So that was one of the first things I did. So I think I was getting up, at my normal time up until this point around 5, okay, about 5:30. And I was also not in the best of moods myself in the morning. So I wasn't necessarily a morning person, but I knew I had to get there and set the stage of this room. Okay. That meant I had to tune me. And that's what kind of led to me waking up earlier in the mornings so I can prepare myself for spiritual warfare, honey, because it kind of was. To prepare myself and then prepare this room. Now, I'd already started, I was listening to binaural beats. And if you don't know what that is, it just means it's like a way of sound bathing. Like a lot of people are into sound baths now, but back in 2017, a lot of people didn't know that. And actually, I started listening to like binaural beats around 2014. So I was already kind of like into it. And I was like, you know what? Why not bring it into the classroom sometimes? Why not tune the room in the mornings with something, right? So I was already doing that for me. And I wasn't really even meditating yet. I still had some other unsavory habits that weren't life-giving, but I was making efforts. That's why I'm saying spirituality comes in layers. Like, you can't do all the things. Even if you know about all the things, it has to be meaningful in that moment. So I was still doing things like listening to the news in the morning, drinking coffee, all those kinds of things. Um, and like scrolling on my internets and stuff, because I dreaded going into that space because of that woman. Because she didn't have classroom management and she didn't realize what she got herself into. She already had biases, if not prejudices, towards brown people. As I said before, her ex-husband. Um, so there was a lot going on for her that trickled into a space that I just really wanted to come back, because I didn't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be reactionary. I wanted to be proactive. And so that was one thing that I did. I made sure I got there before she did every day to tune that room. And what did that look like? That looked like me turning on some sound bowls, some crystal bowls, at least for 10 minutes. And then blessing the room, essential oils. We had a diffuser, those kinds of things. And then I would meditate, pray in that room, in that space for peace every morning. Okay. So she would usually get there around about the time we're all supposed to be there, about 7:30. So I had to make it a point to get there by 7 every day. Okay. And that meant I had to get up and prepare myself to be a spiritual warrior for this room, for this space. And that's the reason why I get up so early, and I still do now, to prepare my body, no matter what my space looks like, right? And I feel like that actually did help a lot, because when she came in after, a wild, crazy morning that she was having, so she had to get her kids ready for school. Maybe she had a phone call from that ex-husband and she already came in with a bad mood, and she's moving, like, there was a lot going on in her life, but she brought a lot of just yucky energy. But by the time she got to the classroom in the mornings, it felt like she was a little bit more settled, even though she might not have liked what she was doing. At least she felt some peace by the time. And I wasn't doing it for her, honey. I was doing it for the sake of the kids. And the brown kids also, because at least 2 of them had never had a white teacher before. Okay? Whether they had gone to pre-K or any kind of nursery school, I don't really recall. I do remember one of the students, actually his mother was going back to school to become a teacher. But from what I could tell, it's like they'd never had a white teacher before. And that's important to know in this, because a lot of what at least the 2 kids were doing were like reactions, fear reactions, scared reactions, just trying to survive reactions. And she interpreted that as non-compliance and not following directions and having an attitude. Okay? So that's why, it's important to have Black and brown teachers in these spaces early on for these children. Okay? A lot of people don't realize that the racial population for public school is about 80% Black, I think. And what I mean by public school, well, let me reframe this in a different way. All right, so Black people are the minority in the United States. We're about 13%, okay? And that means in mixed populations, okay? Because we're obviously almost always in some kind of mixed population. White people don't have to be, because they are the majority in the United States. So in places like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the whitest place that there could be. I don't want to pick on a state or whatever. West Virginia, let's just pick on them. Because people they want to pick on Alabama. It's like, but it's a mixed population. Anyway, I'm from Alabama, by the way. So West Virginia, that's pretty white. Okay, so most of the schools are gonna be white. Okay, most of them, and then the ones that have mixed populations, the majority of the students are going to be white. Okay, now blacker or browner locations around the city, around the country, like Atlanta, for example, because I just said Atlanta, our black population is about 50 to 60% black. So most of our schools are going to have black kids in them, except for ours. So you're going to have a different experience. Okay, so how can I also put this in? Like, I'm trying to put it in numbers, but I think we have to explain numbers too. All right, so the majority of mixed population public schools are 80% black. Unless, okay, yeah, so I put it in perspective. So it has to be mixed population. So we just can't say it's just 80% because, like, places like I said, West Virginia, Wyoming, they're white. Okay, so, um, but then in these same mixed populations, the majority of the teachers, 80% are white. Okay, so think mixed population towns like Chicago, Atlanta, New York. Most of those teachers are white, except for New York, maybe. I don't know. So most of those teachers tend to be white. Maybe not Atlanta. Again, just saying. But what I'm saying is the representation matters. Okay. So these children, these three I had, they kind of lived in a bit of a state of fear most days because what they saw was a scary purple haired white lady screaming all day in kindergarten. And they were just like, what is going on? Like, they were freaked out. And I would be too if I was 5 in this, like, blue, purple haired white lady screaming all the time. Right. Um, so one, even though he did talk, he tended to go nonverbal most of the time. So he would be like looking at, like frozen, right? He'd be like looking at you, like blinking, like what is wrong with this lady? She like, yeah. So he would be like that. The other child, she was more of a scrapper, and it was a girl. So she was more like a survivalist. She was like, listen, I will fight back. I'll talk back. I don't care. It's like, listen, you ain't finna like come at me, you know? So she kind of grew up in that kind of environment. And again, this white teacher made, like, try to make it seem as though these children, these brown children, were the problem. And the reason why I don't do the third one is for another reason. I'm going to end it there. I don't know if I want you to see my kitchen as I meal prep. I don't know. We'll see. But the third child, she was black. Um, she had one black parent. The other parent was Puerto Rican, but she was obviously Puerto Rican, honey. She was not playing. uh, and this child, though, this is what got me. One day, this teacher told me that this one particular child reminded her of her own kids. Like, she looked kind of like, she said, "Oh, so and so reminds me of my children when they were little." Like, she kind of looks like it, even though she had her things too. But that's kind of where the bias comes in, where she connected with that particular brown child because she looked like one of her children when they were little. Okay. But the other two, yeah, the other two, the boy, he tend to go nonverbal sometimes when she would go off and be like, okay, this lady crazy. Like, what's wrong with her? Like, you could see it on his face. Like, he was like mortified of her. And then he would also do things, you know, because kids are kids, right? But he would get called out because he's brown. But like I said in the other video, there was like a bro kind of classroom, like white boy bro energy in this classroom. Even though the parents, like I said in the other video, please watch the other one, said they needed some help. Like, they were on board with getting these little boys in line. Okay, so I'm actually going to end this here because I keep disconnecting and I need to go into the house to meal prep for the week. and I need to go into the house to meal prep for the week. And yeah, so the energy in the room had a lot of boy bro energy, and I learned how to tune the room, and that's how one way I leveled up spiritually to include everywhere I go, because I was like, I am not having this. Um, and I had to improve my health, and my health was getting better at the time, but I also knew I had to step it up some more too. Okay, so tune into the next part. I believe part 4 of me talking about this white racist teacher. Sorry, I have bugs or whatever. But please like and subscribe, all the things. I try to teach people how to be spiritual in practical ways. And I do ramble. I ain't gonna lie. I don't ramble, but I just have a lot of thoughts. So if you want to binge watch me, make sure you watch my electric doses. Um, this video is going to be in probably the electric doses, also in my other playlist, emotional intelligence, because you need that, spiritual content concepts. So in order to play to win this game called life, as Prince said, you got to have the emotional intelligence, okay, even for other people. And with that, I say, take care. All right, bye.